Hello, hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Gooner Tokes with me, Tokes. It's a Friday show because the Premier League is back and it's an opportunity to get back on track for Arsenal. 3 points is what we need. We have an away game at Leeds to play and I'm already getting excited for it, especially after what happened midweek with the return of King Kai. Going to be talking about that and other stuff, as well as my starting 11 and predicted scoreline. But first of all, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, help me grow the community. Thanks a lot, everybody who's subscribed. Keep doing that lovely stuff. If you're new here, especially, smash that subscribe, notifications, all of that, and let's get into it. Because I think the big story is who the hell is going to start up front? Who's going to start in that Ødegaard Eze role? What's happening on the left wing? There's a few things to be decided, as well as defenders coming back. So it's going to be pretty hard to predict exactly what Arteta's going to do, but I'm going to tell you what I think we need to do to get back on track. Like I said, midweek, finished 3-2 that game. Our forwards look good in that first half. Havertz brings a lot to the table, doesn't he? We forgot what it was like having that guy. The way he moves is so elegant, and his finish, the way he took that touch, curled it around the keeper. Fantastic stuff. Exactly what we've all been waiting for, some decisiveness. There were, some messing up at the back in the second half, couple of sloppy goals, Calafiori giving away a penalty. But, we made a lot of changes and we finished the Champions League top of the tree. So we don't need to worry about that playoff game. That's for other people to worry about. We'll wait and see the draw. February 27th is going to be the draw for the round 16. So we've got a month to get through before we can even start thinking about the Champions League again. So it's a great time to get refocused with the Premier League, with the Carabao Cup semi-final that we got coming up against Chelsea as well. FA Cup is starting up again. And so there's a lot to keep us entertained until we get to that draw for the next stage of the Champions League. But first on the menu, first up, is a tough trip away. Elland Road, Leeds. They're a good side. I think we all know what they're all about. They give a fair few teams a good game. In the league, they are 16th, but they're only 6 points above the relegation zone. It's, a tough task for them to maybe stay in the league, but they play good football and they can give anyone a game. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin has scored a fair few goals for them, so he's somebody that we need to watch out for. We need to get our defense back to what it was like pre-Christmas. But just before we got all those injuries, before the first injuries happened to Saliba and Gabriel, and then they were both out of the team. Remember the Villa game? Up until then, the Sunderland game is when we first really started conceding. But up until then, we had been tight as heck. And so, I stopped myself there. But we're gonna have to be, tight again at the back. We've got to get back to getting clean sheets. We've got to stop conceding stupid goals. They're not even stupid, they're stupid goals. I can't even, understand how we switch off sometimes and have let in some sloppy goals. So what I want more than anything is a clean sheet. Please, don't shit the bed. Keep some clean sheets for us. You know what I mean? But like I said, some big stories centered around who's going to start up front. We got Gyökeres. He scored a nice goal against Kairat. Kai Havertz scored maybe a better goal against Kairat, and he got, was linking the play, assists and stuff. So Kai Havertz looks sharp. Is he ready to start a game? I don't know. We're going to find that out, but I'll tell you what I think in terms of who should start. Eze or Ødegaard? This is the other one. Ødegaard, it's hard for him to find any consistency. I saw a story earlier on about linking Ødegaard to Bayern Munich. Now, I'm not saying Ødegaard needs to go by any stretch of the imagination, but he does need to get his performances right. You can't be, starting just because you're the captain. It should be the case that because you're the captain, you're constantly good enough to start, but you shouldn't be starting just because you're the captain. We got to play the player who's in form, and we got to play the player that works best for the team. that's what I think about that. We need to make some big decisions. Well, Arteta needs to make some big decisions, and we, need to see if it works, and hopefully it can, and we can get everything clicking and have goals flowing and have things tight at the back and the midfield purring. We've got some very, very winnable games in the next few fixtures when I'm talking about the league. So it's a really great opportunity to get ahead of steam up again, get a win on the board tomorrow so that we can start building some momentum. Because we lost a little bit with that gutting loss to United. Obviously, I've talked about it a few times. It's more the manner in which the game was lost, really. But we can't, mope about that. We got to get on with it. We've got to put our big boy pants on, and we've got to get ready to smash Leeds tomorrow at Elland Road. So let's look a little bit at what I think my starting lineup would be. I'll talk about a couple of things that I think might actually be different on the day, but I'll talk about why I've said certain players should start. So, if we look at the back first, we've got David Raya, for sure. It's not even a conversation. Solid keeper. He did concede 3 against United. He didn't play against Kairat, so hopefully he's reset, get his head back in the game, and get back to keeping clean sheets and being a solid goalkeeper that we all know him to be. So, Raya in goal. Then defense, let's get back to what our defense was like at the beginning of the season. Calafiori started, he only did 45 minutes, so hopefully he's going to be ready to start this game. He did give away a silly penalty, but then, he sorted himself out, grew into the game, and was pretty solid until he came off. He needs minutes, he needs reintegration, he's our best left back, so bring him in. Left back, Gabriel Saliba, get them back together. Neither of them started against Kairat, and so they're going to be fresh for this game. Get the band back together. Timber, right back. This is our best defense. We need to, like I said, we need to start keeping clean sheets. We need to start building that confidence again, that sense of invulnerability that the defense had at the start of the season. If we're going to win this league, we got to start that tomorrow. We got to start tightening the ship up, you know what I mean? So that's what I want to see in defense. Moving into midfield, Declan, he's back. He as well couldn't play, actually. He had a rest, but he couldn't play anyway against Kairat because he was suspended. So he's going to be fit, fresh, ready to go. Him alongside Zubimendi. Zubimendi maybe has dropped a little bit of form recently, if I'm perfectly honest. That mistake against United wasn't great. Norgard looked really good against Kairat. So, but he did play the whole game. So maybe Norgard comes in for Zubi. This is where I'm going to start talking about what might actually happen on the day. Maybe Norgard comes in for Zubi, but for me, Zubi should start. He's a professional, he's a quality player, and he'll find his form again. Just needs to get back on the pitch, really. Then the next thing is that attacking midfield position where, is it Eze, is it Ødegaard, is it Kai Havertz? Because he played really well. Don't forget, he was playing a little bit more in midfield in the last game. But I'm going to go for Eze in this game. The drive he brings to the team, he's quite direct, much more direct than Ødegaard. Ødegaard slows the game down a lot and checks back and tries to recycle the ball again. And it slows everything down. And we need some directness. We need to just go at teams and just take shots and put them under pressure, and Eze is that type of player. He obviously has been up and down in terms of his form, but I thought he played really well in midweek in the Champions League. So that's what I want to see. I want to see Eze playing. Like I said, I could understand maybe Ødegaard goes in there, he's the captain and all this kind of stuff, but for me, give Eze the nod, all right? But I wouldn't be surprised to see Ødegaard come back in, but for me, he's just not been playing well. So give him a rest. Let him fight for his place. Like I said, I don't want anybody just getting complacent and thinking that just because I have this role in the team or I'm this person in the team, I'm untouchable. No, especially when the creativity is not creativity. We got to mix things up. And Eze in midfield, I think he's going to have a good game and be quite creative there, hopefully. And like I said, much more direct. And then we get to the forward positions. I've gone for Gyökeres, to be honest. Kai Havertz is just starting to get back to stuff, but he played really well and he looks really sharp. I'm tempted to say Kai Havertz starts that game, but I think Gyökeres will start. He also got a goal. He's been in good form recently. So I think let him play, let him start the game, and then Kai Havertz maybe can come off the bench, or maybe Kai is playing in that midfield where Eze is. That's going to be really interesting to see which direction Arteta takes this team now, because we're now at a stage where there needs to be this kind of next evolution of the team leading into, this business end of the season that we're starting to approach. And I think we need to evolve how we're attacking as a team. We need to evolve how we're, creating chances. We need to evolve the way, the directness with which we play. I think that is something that's going to happen now in the team. Arteta gave a great interview. Go check my video that I did about that. Arteta gave a great interview where he's kind of intimating that this is what's going to happen. There's going to be this, change in the way the team play. Maybe they have the handbrake off. So I want to see it. And Gyökeres starting, I think it'll be good. But hey, if Havertz comes in, I ain't going to be complaining. I love that guy. I think he's great, fantastic. And I think he'll have a fantastic game if he does play. But I think Gyökeres would get the nod, to be honest. Then Saka, of course. Who else? Madueke started in midweek. And I've said it before about Madueke. That guy's end product. How can somebody be so good with the ball at his feet and go past players and he can't just do the final thing and pass the ball at, like a couple of meters, or do a cross, that is actually, hard to defend? I think he needs to evolve that side of his game. Saka definitely has more to it when it comes to, assists and goals and stuff like that. So Saka back on the pitch. And then the left wing, Trossard didn't start against Kairat. Martinelli got the start and he got a goal. So again, I wouldn't mind seeing Martinelli, but now that we've got so many players coming back, Arteta needs to balance the squad in terms of how we attack and who complements who. And also he needs to balance the minutes in the squad so that we ain't burning out when it comes to the final stretch. So for me, this is the starting 11 I would go for. I expect there to be a couple of things different, most notably Eze, Ødegaard, Havertz, what's happening there, and then maybe and Gyökeres if you want to, add that little bit into it. And then what happens on the left wing? Is Martinelli going to get the nod because he got a goal, or will Trossard come back and try to find a little bit of form because, he's tailed off a bit in terms of his numbers a little bit in the last few games. So that's my starting 11. And I think it's good enough to beat Leeds away from home. That defence is good enough to keep a clean sheet, and we are good enough to get goals out of everybody who's on the pitch. So that brings me to my, predicted scoreline. I really want a clean sheet, so that's what I'm going to say. Clean sheet. We need to get back to that stability at the back. That's what titles are built on. We can't keep conceding stupid goals and think that we're going to, win something at the end of the season. So back to a tight ship, please, lads. Clean sheets, that's what we want. And then I think we can get a couple of goals there. Leeds, they do concede goals, and I think we'll be able to, especially with the variety we have and people to come off the bench and the competition we now have in those forward positions, I fancy us to get a couple of goals against them. So 2-0, that's what I'm going for this game tomorrow. We need to get those 3 points. We need to put, a bit more space between us again and City, who are playing Tottenham on the Sunday. So this is a great opportunity to maybe get a bit of an advantage over them, get those 3 points on the board. This is the 3 o'clock kickoff, so we're playing before a lot of teams or at the same time as other teams. So I want to see us get this done, get the 3 points, and focus on the next game, which is going to be Chelsea in the Carabao Cup semi-final. Obviously, I'll do my preview before that. But I really want to know, what do you guys think in terms of who's going to be playing? Eze, Ødegaard, what happens there? Havertz, Gyökeres, what happens there? Is Havertz going to get more time playing, in midfield rather than playing as a centre forward? What do you think? What about Jesus? Is he going to be starting in this game? Maybe he could come and play on the left wing. So we've got a lot of options now. So I want to know what you guys think would be our best attacking lineup. Yeah, I think the defense is going to pick itself And I think Rice and Zubi are probably nailed on. So it's and Saka as well. So it's those three positions, right? Eze, Gyökeres and Trossard. What happens there? Who's going to play? We've got, like I said, Ødegaard and a lot of other options. So, hey, good position to be in again for Arteta to have all these options. Let's make the most of it. Let's rotate the squad. Let's get competition for places, pushing everyone onto another level. Do you know what I mean? We got to win this thing. First, we got to get them 3 points. Hey, don't forget to let me know in the comments what you think the starting lineup would be and what's your predicted score. I'm going for 2-0. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. And of course, as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that lovely stuff. And I will see you next time, people. Have a great evening. Peace. Bye.